Welcome to today's episode of Staffing Tech TV, Top Tech for Staffing Firms. 3 tools to get more referrals, improve your NPS, and get a hold of more talent faster. This is part 2 of our conversation with Staffing Referrals President and CEO, David Falwell. Staffing Tech is made possible by the support of our Staffing Tech 2018 conference sponsors. DICE, get tech talent faster and easier through DICE. JXT, digital marketing solutions for staffing firms and corporate recruiting. eTechie, technical skills assessment and screening made easy with expert freelance IT interviews. Be sure to join hundreds of your peers at Staffing Tech 2019. Early bird ticket sales end on December 31st, so be sure to get your tickets before we sell out. And with 5 sessions happening at the same time, bringing a second person will ensure you don't miss a thing. During each weekly Staffing Tech TV episode, we feature one technology within the Staffing Tech Stack. The Staffing Tech Stack is a suite of technologies that today's most mature and fastest growing staffing firms are adopting to make more placements, improve service, and increase margins. Again, today we're hosting David Falwell. He's joining us for part 2 of our conversation to talk about how to get more referrals and talent and manage your firm's reputation. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Maurice. Maurice, take it away.
Hey, Christine, thank you so much and welcome everyone. And thank you, David, for joining us today. And before we get into the interview, David, can you please give us an overview of your background and your company and what you do?
Of course, Maurice. Thanks for the introduction. So I'm David Falwell, president of Staffing Hub and Staffing Referrals. I have a background. I've been in the staffing industry for about 8 years and work heavily on the tech side of things and have kind of helped different staffing firms implement technology that helps increase placements and improve their sourcing. Okay, and I just got the slides pulled up here, I think. Maurice, are you able to see that?
That's good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so today we're just going to talk about some of the top tech in the staffing firms and some things that align with kind of the staffing tech overlay on how to look at your tech stack. Wanted to start off with just kind of a approach to how we look at kind of the tech stack can be overlaid on talent, what we call talent lifecycle management, which is really looking at, how are you sourcing, qualifying, placing, and then renewing candidates in the process, and then what technology are you using to help with that, and what tactics are you using. And similar to the staffing tech stack, which I think is a really great way of looking strategically at what technology you want to implement, the different different categories for your staffing firm. This is kind of a concept that I think can be helpful in terms of looking at it from the talent's perspective and looking at what are the touch points and where do you have gaps and need to improve the overall kind of life cycle management or candidate experience.
Yeah, I like that diagram a lot. And I think when you think about it from the candidate's point of view, I think that's a very powerful perspective just to see it from their point of view and then sort of diagram it out. So I love what you've done there.
Yeah, and the one thing that we're looking at is, a lot of the staffing firms we talk to are, I'd say, early stage on the digital front and not really looking at what tools go where. There's maybe a little bit of the shiny tool syndrome where it's like, oh, this one thing's going to solve everything. And really, I think having a holistic approach, which is why I love you guys, is the way you look at the tech stack is like, all right, these things in combination are what really drive value. And I think if you look at it, from thinking about it from a candidate perspective, they're going to start off by probably finding you via blog, social media, or job board, move into what we call the qualifying category, where if you're using the right tools, you could be doing lead scoring, you can do recruiter automation, text automation, credential automation, things that can help improve and increase the speed at which you qualify the candidate with. And then there's the placement category where you're doing the onboarding, timesheets, making sure that as they come into your system and start working through your staffing firm, that they're having the experience that's going to make it so that you get renewals. One thing that I have another diagram, not for today, but we really started looking at the value of renewals. When most people think about the margin that they have on a placement, they're typically looking at it from kind of a linear. They'll say, well, if I place a candidate and they're going to work, let's say it's a travel nurse, going to work 3 months, and I'm going to make $5,000 on that, and that's what they look at as their margin on that talent. But if you start including the renewal rate in there, it really changes the formula pretty drastically. Because if you have a point, 30% of your travel nurses renew, now that the math on that entire formula and the margin per placement changes in a significant way. So it's an area where I think it's very valuable to start focusing on renewal and kind of the net promoter score reputation management component as well.
Absolutely. And then also the piece of the consultant care, which is kind of part of the placement piece, which I think is so important, making sure that the field employees are happy with their engagement.
Absolutely. So with that, this was just kind of like an introductory slide on how we're looking at talent lifecycle management. I have a few tools that we can run through, and Mauricio and I can just have a conversation about them as we're going
that
through.
Sounds great.
And we can talk about how these might be able to help your staffing firm.
Let's do it.
So one that we've come across, we're big fans of, and I think staffing firms should be taking a look at. It's called Great Recruiters. It's a recruiter reputation management platform. We're seeing a pretty rapid uptake in this in the industry. And really what this is doing is, when I kind of just touched on the renewal aspect of things, and there's a couple key things. One, it helps you identify issues with talent before they're not renewing. Because what this does is it makes it so that all of your recruiters have a link in their signature and are getting reviews on an ongoing basis in real time. So anytime a talent's not happy with a recruiter, you can actually hear about it in real time and address that issue immediately. It also allows you to, so that there's that aspect of it, which kind of helps you protect your brand. And then there's the improving the candidate experience, where candidates are actually able to see what the recruiter reviews look like, so they can, if you choose to have that be public, and that allows the talent to make more informed decisions and offer some transparency into who they're working with.
Yeah. So I also love Great Recruiters. I think it's a fantastic product, and I have personally spoken with 4 owners of staffing firms who use this product, and all 4 have told me that it has definitely improved the performance of their recruiters. And it's one of these things where it does a couple things. Number one, it's an insurance policy. It helps protect the reputation of your staffing firm. So if recruiters know that they can get reviewed like this, the recruiters are more likely to be extra nice with everybody that they're working with. And so any reviews that might show up on Yelp or on Google are likely to be better. And at a minimum, what this does is, if somebody has an issue with the performance of a recruiter, they're more likely to write a review through Great Recruiters and express their displeasure through this platform, as opposed to channeling their displeasure onto Yelp or onto Google reviews, in which case it has an impact on the reputation of your firm, which you then need to overcome. So it's an insurance policy, but it also is a performance booster.
Absolutely, and that's what we've heard as well, is that people are even using it for incentivizing recruiters, and can use it to kind of increase recruiter performance as a whole. Another tool that I think a lot of people in the industry know about at this point, but Text Us is a two-way, real-time conversational texting platform. We've actually been working with them for about 4 years, but they've got, I think they have might be over 650, over 700 staffing firms that now work with, that use Text Us. And the reason that we've seen such a fast uptake with this platform in the staffing industry is that it helps you get a hold of talent about 10 times faster. But I've been just blown away. Traditional, my background's in sales and also in marketing, and I always look at response rates and effectiveness of communication and efficiency of communication. And we currently live in a time where texting is the most efficient way to get a response from talent. It's typically about 10x the response rate of what you're going to get via email or phone. So if instead of leaving 10 voicemails to try to find out if the person's interested or not, a lot of times you can send 1 or 2 texts and get that response right away. And even the quote that I heard is like, I'd rather have a fast no than a slow yes. And sometimes just getting that response and allowing you to move on, that time that frees up can be pretty valuable. And it's just a great way to communicate with talent.
I completely agree. And there's a few points that I'd like to make. Number one, if staffing firms are not using texting, or their recruiters are texting to get a hold of their candidates and using their phones, that is completely wrong. You must have a texting solution. Having said that, the next step is that many ATSs have built-in texting solutions, but there are limitations to these in terms of they're very simplistic, and a third-party solution like Texas brings so much more value to something that is so important to the success of our staffing firms. Let me just give you one example. There's a well-known ATS that many staffing firms use, and all the text messages come from one specific area code. So a complaint that I heard from a user was, hey, we are in Detroit, and all of the messages are coming from a completely different area code, and people are not responding to our text messages at as high a rate as we would have expected. We're losing placements because of that. A tool like Texas, you can customize the area code from which your text messages are being sent. The other thing I would say about Texas is they're at the forefront of converging voice over IP and texting together on the same number. So you'll be able to basically have like phone voice over IP services, but then that will also be your messaging services as well through the same number. And last, the point I would make is texting is about to change in terms of moving from traditional texting onto rich texting, and that will take messaging to the next level. That's going to make it much more engaging with our candidates. It's going to make texting even more important. So I think Texas and tools like Texas is a very, very important addition to our stack.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to that, the one I've heard a story from a staffing firm that was allowing their recruiters to use their cell phones, and which recruiters in most companies, if they don't have a texting tool, they will use their cell phones because they recognize they pick up on the response rates. And they said that their top recruiter left, took the cell phone with them because it was their own cell phone, and took about 30 placements with them as well. And one of the things that this does is it consolidates all of the communication from the VoIP line into you text and call from your same work line, and it's all tied back into your ATS. And then they're also, as you mentioned, the text us voice. They are also going to be automatically tracking calls into your ATS. So even if your recruiters aren't tracking their calls, you'll be able to see that information and have records of their outgoing and incoming calls, which is a pretty big step forward. It's actually something that I'm excited to use myself. So.
Yeah, great points, David.
So another platform that I highly recommend is Herefish. It helps with automated candidate communication. I from a personal perspective, I don't know if the guys at Herefish agree with this, but I kind of think of it as like a HubSpot for the staffing industry. But they do a lot of automation in terms of improving the candidate experience and making sure that you're communicating across after candidates place, that you have the right communication going to talent as they move down the funnel.
So yeah, I would say Herefish is a fantastic application, and I think you're right. I think they would describe it as a HubSpot for specifically focused on staffing and recruiting. One of the things I really love about this application is it the ROI, and you can see on that page they have a little dot. So to me, the ROI is immediate. You turn it on and you start engaging with your database, and you surface candidates that you didn't know were available before, and you immediately start making placements. It pays for itself in a matter of weeks. So the payback period is very, very rapid. It's high ROI. I think they've got a great product there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So another one, and obviously I'm partial on this one, but staffing referrals. So the concept behind staffing referrals is really to help transform your workforce into recruiters for you. And what we're seeing is that it can increase the number, the referral leads that you're getting into your organization by up to 60% in the first 90 days of using the platform. And really, this is just a shift towards taking what we call, the analog or traditional referrals where you ask, it's part of a conversation, and shifting that to a more modern approach where it's a digital platform where you create brand ambassadors. They have links that they can share online, and then it really helps with scaling referral programs overall. And it's very similar to what you would see with Airbnb, Uber, and Lyft. All have referral platforms. This is, kind of out of the gate, it was a white label version of that. And then since then, it's been customized to be very specific to the staffing industry.
Yep. So many processes that we have done in the past within the staffing industry are now being handled automatically. And when we do things automatically, it gets done consistently and it gets done better. And referrals have traditionally been a very, very important part of our candidate sourcing process. And when I ran large teams of recruiters, what we found is that the referral candidates were the least cost source of candidates. When I compared the cost of referrals against other sources, it was dramatically lower, and those candidates often performed better and stayed with us longer. So to have a platform like this that automates so much of the process and helps us make more placements through referrals, but also saves us money. It's a cost saving, so we win on both sides. We make more placements, and it costs us less money to manage that program, and it simplifies that program. So it really simplifies the complexity of running our business. It gives us more sophisticated operations with less complexity. So I think you've really got a winning application there, David.
Thanks so much, Maurice. I appreciate the kind words. So we'll jump on. So this one's a little bit, it's not what I would consider staffing specific, but it's something to take a look at that's a little, I know a lot of people in the staffing industry are looking at their Net Promoter Score and using firms like Navarro. This one is I would call it's a fully focused on automating your Net Promoter Score. There are other tools, I think you could use Great Recruiters to do the same thing. But I just thought it'd be worth showing that this is a platform that if you're just simply looking to automate the Net Promoter Score, and that's all you really want to do, this is a tool that we use on the software side pretty frequently and find a lot of value in it.
Interesting. I know on Great Recruiters, they don't use Net Promoter Score. They use some set of happy faces and sad faces. Does Delighted use the same approach?
So Delighted is a traditional Net Promoter Score, and actually I think Great Recruiters is just updated to where they're including Net Promoter Score as part of the feature set as well. So I think I believe they're shifting that direction. But Delighted is just a traditional, as simple as you can get it, automated Net Promoter Score, and you can tie it into a few different platforms. So just a tool to take a look at. That's a little bit.
I see. Okay, so if somebody has a smiley face, that means they're 9 to 10. A neutral face would be 7 to 8, and a sad face would be 0 to 6.
You got it. Or yep. It's
okay. 9. I get it. Okay, very cool. I love the fact that we've got a standalone application. And does it send out the info through texting or through emails, or how does that work?
It can do email or texting, and then it ties into. We use it through Zapier and then through HubSpot. So our setup through staffing referrals, just to share some of the insights, we actually are using this, and then we connect it to our HubSpot for marketing automation, and then we automate the MPS to go out based off of a timing on when somebody became a customer. And so that's a way that you can kind of connect some dots that can be make sure you have what we call a rolling Net Promoter Score.
And I would imagine this is a fairly affordable app.
It is it's based on context, so it starts off affordable, pretty affordable. It can scale up quickly though, so it's something to take a look at. But, I think there's value in it, but it would depend on how many people you have in your talent pool.
Got it. Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Another one, and I won't spend much time here. HubSpot's kind of a behemoth, but when it comes to marketing automation and really looking at automating emails and event-triggered communication, HubSpot's the market leader in terms of market share for marketing automation. I frequently in HubSpot, I've used Pardot. I think I've run the gamut on all of the different marketing automation platforms, and HubSpot is by far wins on ease of use. It can be somewhat costly, but it's a pretty great platform. And I believe it's the last set of data I saw in the staffing industry. It was like 27% of staffing firms that use marketing automation this is the market leader. But it's something that's still, as a whole, staffing firms I think are starting to use marketing automation. It has a long ways to go, but this is one of the leading platforms as well.
Yeah, so for sure. It's a great platform.
Yep. This one, again, outside of the traditional staffing focus, but something I think can be valuable if you're looking for increasing SEO on your site. So this is to get more talent to find you on Google. This is a tool that you could implement that would actually help you be shown in the search results more frequently by optimizing your page titles. That said, I recommend this tool if you have a marketing team and SEO people that can help you with it. If you don't have a marketing team in place, this isn't something that you would want to purchase, but something to take a look at as well. So on kind of a newer tool on the horizon. So.
Sounds great.
Last one. So KPI dashboards and having real-time dashboards is something that we've been working on pretty aggressively, and something that I think we're seeing more staffing firms want to have access via mobile and access, just a link that they can bookmark where they have multiple data sources pulled together. And so that's something that we're seeing that is a trend as well, but that's more on the tracking and management, less on sourcing. So I don't want to spend too much time there, but that was worth bringing up. Maurice, are you seeing much in terms of tracking and management or dashboards?
Yeah, there's really, you have applications like Recruitix, you have tools like Insight Squared, Cube19, you have business intelligence built within a lot of ATS systems. But I would say the biggest development I've seen recently is an application from a company in Redmond called Chameleon, and they're bringing Power BI to the staffing industry. So, and that's very interesting in terms of being able to pull together multiple data sources and pretty much craft whatever KPIs and whatever kind of metrics that you want to track. You can pull those together. So, for example, you could pull together commissions in the back office with sales results and sales activities in the front office and display results that way. So I think that's really the future is bringing together data from every source into a data warehouse and then reporting holistically across the entire staffing firm.
Absolutely, and that's what I would say is we're seeing as well. Is like the ability to pull Google Analytics, maybe it's Bullhorn, maybe it's your Google AdWords, and then multiple data sources all in one platform, and seeing a kind of a shift towards that. And there's quite a few platforms out there that kind of offer that assistance. But I thought it was a trend that was worth pointing out. Yep. So that was it in terms of the tools to kind of go over, and some of the top tech that we recommend, some new tech that we think is pretty valuable for staffing firms. Any questions, Brace, or anything else that you'd like to go over?
No, I think you've really hit on some great tools. I love all the tools that you presented today, and I know all of them, and they will all generate ROI for staffing firms, and so they're important parts of the tech stack.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again, David, and thanks everyone for joining us. The next 3 weeks, we take a break from Staffing Tech TV for the holidays. Rejoin us Tuesday, January 8th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time when we host eTechie to talk about technical skills assessment technology. Save the date and use the link on your screen to register. Staffing Tech TV gives you just a glimpse of the entire staffing technology landscape. At Staffing Tech 2019 Conference and Blockchain Summit, you'll get a year's worth of insights in just 3 days and learn how you can leverage technology to make more placements, improve service, and grow revenues faster. Early bird registrations are running out. Make sure to get your tickets before December 31st. So David, thank you so much for your presentation today. It was awesome. And thanks for everyone on the call for listening. And we look forward to next year. I hope everyone has a really great holiday.
Thanks, Maurice. Have a great happy holiday. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.